music kind of comes to you sometimes, and you kind of like reach up and grab it. And if you squeeze too hard and you want to control it too much, you'll strangle it. There's just no normal. Like, and everyone feels like they're doing something weird, but it's all normal.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike.
When it clicks effortlessly, that's when you know you've like made a connection of a lifetime. We all mentally knew something had to change, but we didn't really know yet for probably like a year. And it was hard to just admit to ourselves, like, this is a different band now. Everything melts away. It's just like this euphoric state of like, it's like your soul is just coming out.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we are joined by an artist, producer, and an absolute menace on the drum set. Everybody, please welcome Nate Vanderpol. Thanks so much for being here today, man.
Thanks, man.
Of course. So if you guys watched episode 6 with Jackson Lee, this is Nate, the brother that we talked about almost half the episode. They were very close, so this was a long time coming. Took 30 episodes to get on, but here we are, a half a year later. I'm so stoked to get into this, man.
Use my shoe in.
Yeah.
Always my shoe in.
I love it, man. Hey, it works, man. You guys go together like peanut butter and motherfucking jelly, dude.
Thanks, man.
For real.
He always thinks that we're like opposites. Like, I do too. We're very similar, but we're very like like he's a big extrovert and I'm a big introvert.
Right.
Like he likes whole steps, I like half steps.
So it's like a yin and yang.
Yeah.
That's what it is, dude.
Like really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't know how, but
I love it, man. And if you guys don't know already, he is the drummer for Viper Club, and he also has a side project that's kind of a solo project called DS1. So definitely go check him out. We're going to talk all about everything coming up. And yes, I'm really stoked to get into this, man. So before we start these, I usually like to get a little bit of background. So growing up in St. Louis, we kind of talked about it with Jack, but I kind of want to get it from your perspective, because he talked about, the playing outside, being neighborhood kids, and then moving to AZ and having everything be flipped around and like no one plays outside and stuff. So I just want to talk about like, what were you, from your perspective, what was it like out there in Missouri growing up?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a social upbringing. Like, houses just were kind of open. Like doors were always open.
Right.
Or like.
Oh, like unlocked?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like, and it wasn't really that nice of a neighborhood or anything. It was just kind of like kids were always coming in and out to play with each other.
Right.
And a lot of the parents on the street kind of like had kids around the same time. They're all around the same age. And it's funny because the parents didn't really hang out that much. But like they were all friends, but they didn't really, but we saw each other like every day.
Yeah.
We were riding like the movies where the kids are like riding their bikes down the street and causing trouble. Like that's definitely us.
You pull up and you just see all the bikes in front. I talked about this with another person. It's just like that was such like a 90s thing. Where it's like you're just riding around the neighborhood and you see all the bikes in front of the house. Like, oh, they're over there. Let's go pull up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was totally. Yeah, and the summers weren't quite as hot as they are here. So, like 90 something degrees. Somebody would get like an inflatable or like, some kind of like above ground pool.
Right. Yep.
And then we'd all go over and just always outside.
Yeah, dude. It's almost like a like suburban kind of Midwest living, because I feel the same way about Michigan, where it's like that thing with the doors unlocked. That I think that's such a Midwest thing, because
I think it is too.
I remember being a kid and thinking that was that was crazy, because my parents are from Chicago. So like, they lived in Chicago, so they like were broken into multiple times and shit. So like they never had the doors unlocked, even though all of our neighbors did. So it was funny because on the bus, I always remember there was like a kid who would, he would get off and he was like they would, I think it's like a latchkey kid is basically what you would call him. Like he would get home before anyone else and he would like unlock the thing or whatever. It's like being able to just like go in the side garage door. Like
Yeah.
that was always unlocked. The side garage door.
Yeah.
That was like the classic door that would always be unlocked.
I was just gonna say, like, we always use the back door.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like my grandparents to this day, we never go in the front door
Yeah.
ever. Like when we're visiting, it's just like we surprised my grandpa for his 80th birthday. I guess it was 2 years ago now, but like, and we came in through the back door.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yo.
never ever. And then for a while they had a piano in front of their front door, like on the
Really?
inside. You couldn't even use it. Yeah. So
Because they use the back door. It's like, this is basically our back door.
Midwesterners, can you relate?
Yeah.
It's just back door is the front. It's so like familial, I guess is the term.
Yeah.
Like everyone is just so, I mean, Midwest has a lot of bad things about it too.
Of course.
But there's definitely like a family mindset about it.
Agreed.
People are close.
Yeah. And it's almost like people almost expect the best in people versus like
true.
the worst, because
Yeah.
they're almost like taken by surprise when somebody does something crazy, because it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is like such a good neighborhood, you know,
Talk-
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Talk of the town.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's so true. And especially when you have like a good percentage of older people in a neighborhood like that,
Mm-hmm.
where they're just kind of like always looking out their window, or like they're paying attention.
Yeah. So they
to what's
see shit
happening.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally,
They'll
man.
be like, did you know that I saw this the other day? And they'll like, there's some people from the Midwest in my current neighborhood.
yeah.
And if I'll be outside, like doing anything, they'll walk over and be like, yeah, I saw someone got a new car down a couple houses over, and they'll say his name. And I'm like, I'm in my 20s. I don't talk to my neighbors. Who is that?
They know everybody. They know
Yeah.
what they drive, where they live, how
Yeah.
many kids they have.
Yeah.
It's like they got all the bios.
Yeah.
That's all they do. I totally
cute.
relate to that. No, totally.
Yeah.
That's like Midwest thing. It's gotta
Yeah.
be, dude. It's like,
I
yeah,
think
there's
so.
the people that just stay indoors the whole time.
For sure.
So we talked about early music influences with Jack too, and we talked about like what was being played around the house with your parents and your grandparents, and you know, he mentioned some names like Queen and
Oh yeah.
Aerosmith and Earth, Wind and Fire and all these groups, and he kind of touched on like how listening to that music, it almost inspired like him to like write stuff. And was that kind of a similar thing for you, where listening to that music early on, was that kind of inspirational?
Yeah. And it was definitely, well, yeah, it was definitely inspirational. And it was definitely like a mystery as to how things happened. Like that's my biggest memory as a kid. And probably my biggest draw to wanting to make music was like, oh, you know, being a figure outer,
Yeah.
you know, like you always want to figure out how things work. Like as a kid, I was like pulling up rocks to see what bugs were underneath the specific rocks. So like music was like my parents really liked Van Halen.
Yeah.
So whenever they play like Hot for Teacher, there's this drum intro. It sounds like a motorcycle. And I'm like, how do they do that? You know,
Yeah.
how did he play it? So like, and Queen had like a bunch of crazy sound effects in it. So that was, and probably a draw to wanting to be a producer too, is like, how did they do all this stuff? Cause it's not just like guy and acoustic guitar, where
Yeah.
it's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, I like that. It's almost like you were picking it apart as a kid. You're like
Yeah.
listening for certain things, just like that, this, and like you're almost
Yeah.
subconsciously like thinking like mixing style stuff, you know,
Yeah.
like spacing and like just
Yeah.
kind of visualizing the box basically as a kid. That's crazy. But so that's then that's what inspired you to start writing music as well. Then because you
Yeah, I
you
think
picked
so.
guitar at fucking 5 years old or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I always wanted to play drums because Jack was like, well, you know, like Jack and I were like best friends our whole childhoods. So whenever we would get stuff for Christmas, like we would get the same pair of socks, but his were like blue and mine were red, you know?
Yeah.
So like, and if you grow up with siblings that are close to your age, you probably know it's like whenever they have their thing, like that's their thing,
Yeah.
you know, and you want to have your thing. So like he picked up guitar early. So I was like, okay, I need to pick up drums. Like,
Wow.
you know what I mean?
Dang. So that
Yeah.
was something conscious even at a super young age. Because I mean,
Yeah, I think so.
Like 5 years old, that's so early to pick up a guitar, pick up any instruments really.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense that you guys ended up being who you are today because of that. You know, and
That's true, man.
your dad was in a band too.
Yeah,
with his brother.
Yeah.
Which is so sick.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, did you ever feel early on any type of like pressure to like be successful because your dad tried it and like didn't necessarily go all the way with it?
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, well, it just seemed like the family thing. Like, it, not so much to be commercially successful, but to be like an accomplished musician.
Yeah.
And especially like there were no other like drummers in the family at all. So for me, I was like, I want to be a really good drummer and be able to jam with my cousins. That was like always the thing I wanted to do.
That's sick.
So that's pressure. I mean,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
totally. But it came from a good place. It
it wasn't
not
toxic or
right.
It was more just like, I think we both like just really wanted to be included in the family musical thing.
I see.
And like be able to chat musically with each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
If that answers the question.
It definitely, it 100% does, dude. And it sounds like your parents were supportive, but they weren't pushy.
Yeah, totally.
And that, I think that's really important part, where it's like being someone that was, well, like your dad, for instance, being in a band with his brother and then having two boys, that he could have easily tried to live vicariously through you guys and be that guy
been,
that
like really pushy.
You know, you get into the studio right now. And then make it like a negative experience for you guys, you know?
Yeah.
But the fact that he didn't and just kind of let you guys do your thing and just explore it and find your own lane and love for it, I think that's beautiful, man. And I'm sure you guys have like have a real strong bond with music, with your dad and anybody else that plays music in your family.
100%. Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. Like, it kind of inspires me because I want to have a kid, at least one at some point.
For sure.
And it's just like the perfect strategy. They just like, my parents were just genius for that. Like, I mean, if they were trying to be like, they should be musicians. I mean, it's just, it's a great atmosphere as a kid to just always have music around.
Yeah.
And like, and a lot of like older music like that is just so inventive and like good for a child's mind, I think.
Yes.
Because there's so many sounds that are like trying to emulate other things, like what I was saying earlier with the motorcycle thing. It's like, it's like something about it just drives your imagination crazy, just being around music all the time. So you're just always like, it rubs off on you, and then you want to create stuff from a young age.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. And that early exposure, that's what does that too. It's
totally.
Because like that's like if you expose someone early to TV hella, you know, they're probably going to love TV shows later, movies, probably going to love movies. And it's like, it's almost like with you guys, it was the music was the media, and it was like, that's what you attach your childhood to, is like those memories.
100%.
So we talked about color synesthesia. I want to talk about it, dude, because I asked Jack about it, and I asked him if you had it, and he was like, I don't know. I remember like one time he kind of mentioned it, but he doesn't really talk about it, and I don't know if he's like keep it to himself, which he does. That's what he said. So I wanted to ask you directly: did you ever, or do you have synesthesia?
I do. Yeah, I have it with a lot of things. Like he always talks about how he will see he will like visualize music, kind of in like a graphical,
colors and tone, stuff like that. And
the colors will come along with like certain visuals sometimes, but mine is just very like I categorize like every noun into a color in a way, like flavors I see colors with, or definitely music. Like I see a color for everything, and then if I zero in on like an instrument in a song, like say if I hear a song and like overall it's a very yellow song, and then I kind of zero in on the bass and like what it's doing and the tone of it, it could be like brown or something, you know?
Wow.
It's
while
just
listening
a weird
to the whole thing, not like soloed out, just kind of focusing your mind on those frequencies, I guess, the bass frequencies.
Totally.
Does that does that help or hurt you when it comes to but mixing and stuff like
Help.
that? I was gonna say you could probably like surgically go into.
I always forget about it too, but like it's totally what I'm doing because I'm like it's part of my like aspiration for when I'm trying to make something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know when I make this song, I want the bass to be like a brown, you know?
Right.
So like I'll tinker with it till it gets there. And then I'm like seeing that, you know? So like when I'm writing music, it's really beneficial. And when I'm mixing, because like tones are pretty much that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to get the tone to be a certain color. It's weird. It's weird.
That's sick, dude.
I don't think about it that much, but
yo, it's subconscious. But now
it's weird. Yeah,
I think it's so cool. It's like, oh man, it's almost like just like you said, it's almost like I picture like a tuner. You know, where it's like, it's a little too red. Let's bring it back a little bit. Bring it back to pink.
Just it's like less interactive. I guess it's like a snapshot. You know, I'll see that like. You might be the same way where making music can be like a really visual process mentally.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to connect with this like visual aesthetic, but sonically.
Yeah.
It's just like a different piece of that, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, I found it so interesting because what I knew that you guys had, or that at least, you know, Jack, because I remember Jack talked about it. I don't remember ever talking to you about it, but so I had to do like a little bit of research before I asked him about it. And I was just like, I almost found myself like reading like so much of the Wikipedia page because it was so interesting and how they were talking about how every case is different. So it's like where you might see brown for the bass, someone else might see green.
Yeah.
And I thought that was wild too.
Yeah.
Like, wow. So it's not even necessarily that like a certain frequency equals brown. It's just like whatever your brain picks it up as.
Connects it to.
Yeah.
Because Jack and I have always had different experiences with it.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Shit.
It's weird, man.
Yo, it's a leg up.
Leg up. That's what my dad always says. He's like, I wish I had something like that when I was doing music.
It's like, if I had something like that, I'd be so successful. That's it. That's it, Dad?
I guess, Dad.
Whatever you say. So we talked about picking up guitar at 5 years old and then eventually transitioning to drums. When did that happen?
Well, I was interested in drums before. So like we moved to Arizona in 2007, like the summer of 2007.
How old are you?
And I'm 24.
Well, how old were you in 2007, I guess?
7.
Okay.
And I was definitely interested in drums before that. And I started taking drum lessons when I was 8. So sometime around there, like I feel like it was pretty quick for me.
Yeah.
Because Jack was already starting to be able to play things, like just little stuff. And I was like, well, he's kind of got that one. So I needed to find out my thing, you know?
I visualize like a little 7-year-old like looking at his brother and she's like, dang it.
Going through a personal crisis.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Just like,
who am I?
Who am I?
Someone got me these like, it's really, all right, I think about this all the time because it was really cool technology for the time, I think.
What was it?
But it was like these 2 drumsticks. It was a toy and you could turn them on and you connected headphones to the right one. And they were synced up and like they were like made of plastic and they had different settings on them. But it was like if you hit here, it would hit like a hi-hat sound. And if you hit here, it would make a snare sound. And it had like a whole invisible drum set.
Really?
So whenever you played, like you could play drums in the air and it was like a Wiimote or something. And they weren't that expensive or crazy. But I think my grandma got them for me at one point. And that was before I moved out here. So I remember like, I'm pretty sure on the car ride moving out here, I was like,
fucking around it.
Yeah, messing with that.
Dude, damn. I didn't know that technology was there in the 2000s.
Yeah.
That I feel like that's something that would be like a now thing.
Right?
Why isn't that a now
The metaverse.
yeah.
Like, even as a kid, I was like, Oh my, because I couldn't figure out what it was at first.
Yeah.
And when I figured it out, I was like, this is crazy.
Dude, I just picture like a Oculus type deal where it's just like you put it on, it's like all of a sudden stadium.
Right.
It's like fucking full kit. It's like fucking Neil Peart shit.
It's a Rock Band needs Rock Band, you got to come back.
You have to come back, dude. Please.
Take this technology. That company's probably under now.
Yo, Harmonix. I think is what
Harmonix.
it was. Yeah, dude.
Harmonix, please.
Activision, pick them up. Dude, I recently got my homies in Michigan invited me to play fucking Fortnite like a month ago. And I got kind of back into it and playing with them. And now the game is fucking crazy. And they have all these different game modes and stuff like that. And they have a game mode called Festival. And it's Guitar Hero, but it's on your controller.
What?
Literally. So you can play vocals, bass, guitar, and drums. And they have all these different songs. And you basically can map your controller to whatever buttons you want. And it's like 4 or 5 different. Yeah, and it's literally Guitar Hero. So it's like they definitely didn't patent that technology or that like they don't have a trademark on that because Fortnite was able to do it.
That is so cool.
Right? I thought it was sick, dude. When I saw it, I was like, dude, fuck yeah. And it's cool because it's almost like you're playing a drum machine. Like because it's like you're hitting the controller thing.
That is so sick.
Yeah,
dude.
so it's only a matter of time before they release like hardware.
Yeah.
You know, just like play Fortnite Festival with the drums or whatever, you know, and
you
like
could plug in a peripheral and do it.
Yeah, because all it was USB,
man.
like back in the day. So it's like that technology is like been there. I'm sure they're working on it as we speak. They're just waiting for the right time to drop the whole thing. They're gonna drop like a mic, a guitar.
Oh, the Fortnite mic.
Yeah, the Fortnite mic is gonna be crazy.
Got to record some vocals with that thing, for sure.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so I'm glad that you share the passion for Guitar Hero and Rock Band that I did, dude.
Oh my god,
dude.
Oh my god, huge part of my childhood.
So drums, I'm assuming that's like what you played a lot of on Rock Band.
I played, we had Guitar Hero first for sure,
of course,
and I was like deep into that.
Yeah.
I was like more than Jack. I liked it more than Jack did.
Which one did you start on?
I think 2.
With the one with that Jordan on it.
Yep. Oh yeah, and it's still my favorite.
It's so good.
Yeah, because so my girlfriend Hannah and I, we were at Zia Records and we found like 2 guitars, and one of them was like for Guitar Hero 1. Oh wow. And the other one was like the red SG for Guitar Hero 2 on PS2.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a copy of Guitar Hero 2 again, and we just started playing it. And it just all came back.
I love that.
It all came back. Oh my god,
dude! You're making me want to go get Rock Band.
It's so great,
dude. You know what? I think it'd be fun, like to do like a adult Rock Band session, and we just have a fucking crew.
Right,
4 or 5 people come over. We just fucking have some drinks.
I'm so in, bro.
Play drum. Play Rock Band. Dude, that would be
oh my god. Fun. Yeah,
dude, we could
just
almost
let me know when,
dude. Oh man, I'm thinking now, dude. We could like set it up somewhere, like have like on location thing, like go somewhere and like don't necessarily do it like at someone's house, but we could. Shit, we do it right here, bro.
We can do it right here, right in front of these 2 cameras.
Yes,
Rock Band,
dude.
Band.
Yo, now I'm thinking, bro. Hey, Martians, real quick. I appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch wherever you are in the world. Over the last few months, the Martian family has grown so much. I could not be more thankful for all of my guests and every single one of you who continue to tune in every single week. Subscribers, ratings, likes, and comments all help us grow here on Mars. And it would mean the world. If you haven't already, please go to onmarspod.com/subscribe to subscribe on YouTube. Like and leave a comment, rate us on Spotify. All this good stuff helps keep the engine running to inspire Martians all over the world. P.S. Follow us on Instagram @OnMarsPod. Okay, let's get back to it. So, when you were playing drums out here, did you find yourself playing in other groups or with other people other than Jack as well when you were like first coming up before you guys were like solidified, I guess? Or was it just with Jack?
It was honestly just with Jack until like we started playing out a lot.
In like high school days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think I played with anybody else until I was probably like, when I was 17, we were playing a lot of shows and like that was when I was like 17, 18, that was probably like the best at drums I was
Really?
like ever.
You think?
I was just playing all the time.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Like every day I was, you know, getting behind the drum kit and playing for like 2 hours at least.
Right.
So I played with like a couple other bands, not like as a member of the band, but like I did a couple shows and I was on a couple recordings. And I mean, I still do that stuff, but it really wasn't until like 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And it was like weird to play with someone else at that, you know, at that time. Because Jack and I just like, we're so nonverbal when we do music. It's like we know when we're going to end, or like if we're extending a part, like we know how long we're going to extend it for live. Just like there's a lot of like stuff that's just like psychic stuff, you know, because
telepathy.
Just been doing it. Yeah, it really is like telepathy,
dude.
It's
And I mean, at
forever.
that point, you were already in the game for 10 years. You know, at 18, you were in the game for 10 years already. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
You were like a veteran. It's like
a veteran drummer.
Yeah, they say it takes 10 years to put like 10,000 hours in. So it's just like you put the 10,000 hours in before you were 20 years old, bro.
Dude, you know what's
crazy.
So crazy is yeah, like whenever you start young, you think everyone else started young, and it's so not true. And like, so there's this band that I'm pretty sure Amy is managing them right now, and they're called Prefect. Little shout out. And they're so good. Like they're all like pretty young, and I didn't know how young they were, and I was gonna play drums for them for a show that like ended up getting canceled. And it's like we meet for practice, and they're like, we're just talking, and I'm like, holy shit, you guys are teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, and then they're like, yeah, our drummer like just started playing drums like 2 years ago. And I'm just like, he's straight up like better than me. Like,
shit.
he's so good.
Damn.
Yeah. And it's just, it's funny how like some, like you just, whenever music finds you, it finds you. You know, if it's going to find you in that way, it'll find you.
Yeah.
You know? And
absolutely.
it doesn't matter like when you start or whatever. Like you might think you know some stuff because you've been doing it since you were a kid, but there's some people where like they start playing, and I mean, they might have had a musical childhood, but they'll start playing like later in their life, and it just like all clicks at once.
Yeah,
and it's like
for sure.
a big wave, and they can just,
and they just go
nuts.
all in on it too.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's probably what it was for like that kid. Like he found it, and then just like he basically was having
Practicing.
like the 2 hours a day type shit that you were doing at 17, 18. He was probably like, I'm going in.
I'm going in. Yeah. And playing along to records, and just like,
fuck yeah.
that's what it was for me. Just like learning like all the drum parts to every record I know.
Wow.
And then like wanting to being the figure outer kid. Drums are so much like that, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so is guitar, but like drums are just like it's like problem solving. 'Cause
Yeah.
you only got like 4 things.
I was just gonna say, because drums, it's basically, instead of like melodic things, it's just like it's I don't, what's the term I'm thinking of? It's almost like there's less like variables.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like with guitar, you have to figure out the chord by like trying to pick apart the notes. Whereas like if you can hear the hi-hat, if you can hear the kick, if you can hear the snare, all you gotta do is just place them.
Yeah.
That's
It's
crazy.
Totally. And there's a lot of subtlety in between too. Like an electric drum kit is just like no variables.
Right.
You know, like you can hit soft and you program it to sound loud. And it really is just like hitting the pieces. And then learning drums is like that, where you're like, all right, I'm playing this beat. All I have to do is like closed hi-hat and a kick and a snare on these beats. But there's so many variables in between, like how hard or how much to open the thing.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Like, and that's what makes the sound you want.
Exactly.
It's just like a different problem solving.
For sure. And that's when you get into like the nitty gritty too. It's like you get like the bass, like the main bass track down, and then you're like adding in those little details, just like the little fills or like the ghost notes and like the open, like slightly open versus closed, you know? Dude, and that's what makes those records that you were listening to, that's what makes those records so good.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they were so almost like particular with their stuff. And that's what made them unique, and it was all live. A lot of those recordings that you were listening to were probably live drums too. So it's like not programmed like it is now.
Yeah. That's big for me.
Yeah.
Like just like a real performance of anything. I mean, and I'm not Jack always like gets on to me because he's like, you're so anti like loop and all this stuff. And I'm not at all. Like I love sampling and I love like, but I'm just like big into like a sample pad, like over there. It's like where you're collecting sounds and then you're playing them. Like I just love, or if it's a sample of something that was played by a person.
Right.
Like that human element of music is so important.
Agreed.
To me, I think to everyone, I don't think I'm alone. It just has to have something like tangible about it where you can just hear like the breath in it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I 100% agree, man. And I think recently, over the last few years, I've heard a lot of mainstream artists get back to real instruments being incorporated into the stuff, and like people like hiring symphonies and shit to record live, and like Tyler Creator, you know, basically hiring a whole ass orchestra to like do strings on his album.
It's so cool.
Like
man.
That's sick.
It's so cool.
People like almost like people like that have a true respect for the art, and they're like, I think those are the ones like they still have the same energy as like people did back in the 70s, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas
100%.
now it's so easy to just buy a violin plugin and just like play it on a keyboard and then just say it was, you know, what it is.
They sound great.
And that's
they sound really good.
It's like a lot of people couldn't even tell the difference, bro. But like, if you really like hear some like, and sometimes the way that you can mix it when it's a straight recording versus digital like emulation, it's almost easier in my opinion. Like for instance, like mixing, because I was doing a lot of hip hop stuff, you know, with teammate Marcus and all that shit, and I was like the producer, and so I was doing a lot of synth stuff, a lot of 808s, a lot of kicks and snares.
You made a lot of great stuff.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it's like when I started kind of integrating and like kind of making my own music, I was very intentional about like putting in live guitar and live bass and like layering vocals and stuff like that, and kind of using my voice as an instrument.
Yeah.
And all of that, it felt like it was easier for me to hear when I was mixing it versus when I was trying to mix like hip hop stuff. It was, I felt like my hip hop stuff was always like super muddy, and it was harder for me to like hear stuff through. And maybe that's just like by the time I started mixing my own stuff, I was already like a little bit more knowledgeable, but still I feel like the live instruments were better for me to easier for me to mix. And I just like the way it sounded, bro. It's like,
I think it is, man. Cause like, well, and like when you're recording other people too, like, you like there's kind of a reverence to it where like if someone's playing an acoustic guitar, like you want to mic it up right and everything, but like you really don't want to over mix it or like over EQ. Like if there's weird things in there, like it's probably because of how they're playing, and like maybe that's part of their art.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's another thing too.
Kind of a reverence to like a live performance.
For sure. And that's kind of like in the same way that the details of the drums, you know, with the ghost notes and the open hi-hat slightly, the subtleties, that's what makes the performance different than if you were to just play it on a software instrument.
Dude, one of my favorite bands like ever, like one of the most influential bands in my life is the White Stripes.
Ooh, yeah.
And Meg White is one of my favorite drummers of all time.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And there's just so much like, and my favorite part about the White Stripes is they just leave everything in and they let it all hang out. And it's just like, because, you know, they had that understanding of, you know, like music kind of comes to you sometimes and you kind of like reach up and grab it. And if you squeeze too hard and you want to control it too much, you'll strangle it, you know? And they had such a good, like you hear Icky thump and they're just kind of like, he's digging in and she's playing along.
It starts like, so, yeah.
And they're rushing and dragging. And if they would have fixed all of that, it just would have been like a normal song.
Yeah.
But there's so much tension in it, you know?
Yeah, man. And that was magical. That was their sound. And they really crafted their sound by being 100% authentic them. You know?
Just real. Yeah. Real. Sloppy and like just as it comes. That's what you get.
For sure.
I love it.
What's
so cool.
What years were they coming out? Like, I'm trying to remember, like
the 2000s.
2000s?
I think their first album was like 99 or 2000.
Okay. Yeah, because they were all still probably recording on analog gear.
Yeah.
So it was very much like,
yeah,
live.
He was big about that, I think, especially there's like a big thing about how he moved to Jack White with his solo stuff, like moved to Pro Tools. But even his first like 2 solo albums up until like 2015, I think, were all a tape, like everything, just as a decision.
Damn.
Like the workflow of it, I think.
Yo, I mean, that's probably because it sounds different. It's just like, well, I love the way it sounds. It's like people that almost like live and die by analog gear now, like compressors and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like, no, I don't want to fucking use no digital software. It's like, give me the gear, man.
Give me the gear, the physics. And I get it too. Like the knob, the touching real knobs, and like, and there's so much debate on the sound.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not where the debate should be. You know, well, maybe that's where the debate belongs, because there is no debate. You know, it's like there's like working with analog gear and that whole workflow and that process, and then there's working with digital gear and that whole workflow and process, and like they're both equal.
Yeah,
you know, but I feel like analog recordings sound different because they make them different. Yeah. You know, like there's people mix differently on stuff like that. And then on digital stuff, you mix different, you know, like it's easier to use, so you can go a little more in depth. And with analog gear, like you kind of let stuff hang out because it's like, you know,
exactly,
it's just kind of like raw. Or
for sure, there's only so much you can tweak,
right? And
once you like record it, it's like printed.
It's printed. Yeah, you have to learn to really love like the music as it comes.
Yeah,
you know?
That's so true. Yeah, and I mean, there's like Universal Audio. They got to a point where they're working directly with the people that like Telectronics. They made the CLA or the LA2A rather, or whatever the fuck, that classic compressor. Yeah. And there's like that one in the 76. Like those are the two that are, I feel like, the most emulated by different companies. But also there's like a lot of people that like stand by, like Universal Audio plugin is like just as good.
Yeah.
Like they stand by it so hard. And I'm like,
probably
it probably is. That's why it costs $3,000.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's probably something to be said about, I mean, like even the electricity will affect analog gear. So like you could, on a bad day, I know like Rick Rubin, there was like this whole thing where they couldn't mix records past like 6 o'clock because the power would switch, and then his Neve board would sound really bad.
Whoa.
So like the power can affect analog gear. It can absolutely be worse sounding than a digital recording, you know, like there's just, but I feel like plugins really do sound so close.
Yeah.
And if that's how you like, I mean, you know how the greatness comes out of you if you're an artist, like, you know what pulls it out, and a digital workflow is that you're gonna make way better music on Pro Tools or like Logic or whatever you do,
versus trying to jump on an SSL 4000
board.
God. Yeah, just like figuring it out. It's like,
it's just gonna be a pain in the ass, and then
it's just like, oh fuck, what is this patch bay?
Yeah, for real. Like,
what are all these fucking chords?
It's so complicated.
Yeah, dude. One day I'll get someone to build one for me. Just be like,
me too.
You just set it up, and like I'll just learn it.
Yeah. The only thing I'm really like, I like reverent about when it comes to analog stuff is I always want to run stuff through things before they're recorded. So like any of my mics, I have to run it through something before I go into my interface,
like a preamp.
Yeah, just to like, and sometimes it's like, well, I was telling you that I do like some recording like on site. Sometimes I'll just come to people and record in their space, and if they have like a little mixer, and it doesn't have to be a good mixer, but you know, all I brought is my laptop and my interface. Let's run it through the mixer. You know, because if it sounds weird, I mean, if that's what, like, maybe that's a mixer used to practice, it'll sound like you. It'll sound like what we did that day. And it's like a little more character to go off of rather than just like that. That's the only thing about digital, like all digital, that I don't find inspiring is like the starting point is always the same.
Right.
And I kind of like having like weird starting points. Like some things are just decided for me. Like,
right.
Like, oh shit, maybe I ran that a little too hot and it's just in there like that now, and let's go with it. You know?
And that's still like using gear, like analog gear, and have it be like printed. That's kind of like in that same lane where like using a mixer as like analog gear. I think that's cool. And it almost like colors the sound differently than if you would have just gone directly in.
Yeah.
100%. Dude.
Totally.
And there's probably like parameters on the mixer that you can tweak too to like make it sound a little different, because there's probably like EQ and shit on there.
Yeah, just kind of like nudge it on there, and it's so it kind of allows, well, me personally, allows me to like be more decisive, because like with EQ plugins, I'll be tweaking until the last print before it gets mastered. Like I'll go listen to it on different systems and then come back and be like, maybe I should just pull that.
Exactly. Because you can.
Bit, you know, before the final one. But, you know, if something is recorded and I've kind of like done a broad EQ on it, there's something about that magic where I'm just like, that's how it is. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly,
you know?
Dude.
And then the biggest influence in this mix is going to be the volume fader and whatever like crazy effects I want to put on it.
Right.
You know? It allows you to just not hate yourself a little more.
For sure. And like overthink things too. Because like that's a big thing with people with music, is I think they overthink things a lot, especially with their own music. I'm one of those people sometimes, you know? So I could definitely relate, where it's like, if you have the ability to tweak it till the last second, you bet your ass you're probably going to be tweaking it till the last second.
You're totally going to do it.
But if you strip yourself from that ability, then it almost like takes it off your hands. And I think there's something liberating about that, to just kind of like love it like it is. Like,
it's so important.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I mean, Jack's also like that. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we're dead in the water. But like, my girlfriend Hannah has just been this like source of light in my life, of wisdom, like since we started dating. And like, she really allowed me to be able to just let it go, just like it, you know, especially with my own stuff. Because like the biggest thing for her is like, can I hear the vocals? Can I understand what you're saying? Like, is it cool? And that's it. And then like all this like little stuff that I read on Gearspace doesn't matter anymore.
It's like, Hannah thinks it's cool.
Yeah. And then I start listening to it again. I'm like, it is cool.
Yeah.
That like 15-year-old me would have loved, they would have ended it here and then had it mastered. Like, why did that die? And, you know, how do I get, and she's been such a way for me to get back to that, you know? And it's so, whatever it is that gets you back to it, just do it.
Yeah.
It's like,
I love that, man. I'm glad that you brought her up too, because I kind of wanted to touch on that. That's in my notes that I wanted to ask you about, because how long have you guys been together now? Like 5 years?
4.5 years, yeah.
Dang.
It'll be 5 in September.
That's amazing. Congrats, dude. It's
Thanks,
it's
man.
hard to make it that long, especially at such a young age.
Oh, so true.
The fact that you guys found each other and stayed happy this whole time and almost support each other through thick and thin, it's like it's rare. So I love to hear that she's also like inspiration to the music, and as far as like supporting you. That's kind of what I wanted to ask. Like, how like I guess I want you to speak on the importance of being with someone who is supportive of the craft and like understands that, you know, you need to take time to do this, and you know, not being super, I guess, assertive with like spending time with her over music and like basically ultimatum type stuff.
Yeah.
Because that happens a lot with musicians, is like they'll be with someone and that person feels neglected because they love music so much. And then that person ends up quitting music because of their significant other. So I just wanted to speak on
quitting them because
exactly. And that's
100%.
it. And having to kind of make that fork in the road, that's such a tough position to be in as a musician, I'm sure. So like,
and no one's gonna pick,
right?
Like, no, you know, and especially if you're in that situation, like, you're never gonna be like, all right, I'm just gonna stop playing music. I mean, maybe you will if you're like really comfortable in your life, but I think a lot of times it comes down to like, honestly, I hate to say it, but I feel like a lot of times maybe it is your fault. Like, maybe you are neglecting the relationship because of music, and maybe 100%, maybe you are that busy. Like, if you're getting kind of successful, like, you know, you do have to make hard decisions and you have to compromise and make sacrifices. And like, sometimes they're not going to be okay with that. And then you have to communicate like, this is like what I feel like is my main purpose in life. As much as I care about you, like I have to do this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's tough.
Yeah.
But a lot of like, there's a lot of people that have, I mean, I was one of the people where it was like I was having relationship problems because of, you know, choosing what I want to do and music, and I wanted to spend more time on music and like not. But the reality was like I wasn't focusing on quality time and like the time that we were spending together. I wasn't making sure that it was like quality time. Like, so she's like, why would she be supportive of this thing that's just constantly taking me away? And then like whenever we're not Hannah, this is not
right.
Hannah.
Yeah. No, yeah. I know.
But,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
And then whenever we're spending time together, it's just like crappy and I'm just not there mentally. And
yeah.
but Hannah has just been so like, well, first of all, she's always been supportive, like trying to make me better about things and be more like do what I really want to do, but not just do it like I don't want to do it too. Like do all the hard stuff and like and be accountable for things that suck.
Yeah.
But so like the time thing is already covered. Like that's always been easy, but
yeah, I think that's a good point that you bring up, whereas like in your old relationship before Hannah, where it's like when you feel like when you're spending time with that person, you feel like you have to.
Yeah.
And like and it's almost like in your head, like I have to be here. Like it's not like I get to be here type stuff.
Yeah. And if you have to be there, then you will always have to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And
if you want to be there.
Yeah, dude. And I think that's the biggest thing is like mentally checked out when you're with them and like it's not quality time. And I could 100% see that being almost like the people that are having those issues, it's like they do kind of have to like look within and it's like really kind of see like
so much of it is just like, so like if you're in a relationship and like you just don't understand what's happening and you feel like everything's just always going wrong, you really need to look inward.
Yeah.
And a lot of times like it'll feel like, you know, like it like in that moment you might feel defensive because it'll be like, oh, it feels like everything's my fault. But not everything is your fault. Just maybe you discovered the things that are your fault and you know, you're not like emotionally ready to be accountable for it or something.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff like that.
That's so true.
Especially being a musician, because like there's a lot of lore and like weird stuff about it. And like and you do meet people that are like they'll come to shows and they'll be extremely disrespectful of your relationship and your girlfriend, like on purpose, just to like cause problems for you. And you have to be able to like stand up to that. And there's just so many like traps and like pitfalls.
Yeah.
Just any kind of creative lifestyle, I think.
Absolutely.
And you have to really just, at the end of the day, respect each other. Like that is the most important thing.
Yeah. Have the mutual respect and almost like support for each other as well, where it's like you like want them to be the best versions of themselves and you're going to try to be the best version of yourself and like be the best relationship that you can, you know, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I like what you said about, whereas like, you might be like defensive if like something like that happens. Cause I think that can be applied to just relationships in general. Like if you're in a relationship and you're not a musician, but you find that like you're always having problems and like you have to like look inside. It's so easy to point fingers and be like, you did this, so that's why this is bad, or like this always happens and da 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 da, and like get like that defensive. But I think it's almost like a breakthrough moment, and it's like a hard truth to face sometimes when you realize you're the problem.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's like, fuck, dude. It's like a kick in the balls, dude.
It really is. There's no better way to describe it too. It's just this total, like, it'll hit you or it won't hit you, you know? And like when it hits you, it's just this, you feel it from like deep inside you, and it feels like such an injustice is happening to you. And that's just, you know, maybe it's your inner child. I'm not sure, but it's something happening that you need to fix.
Yeah, for sure.
You really have to like, and you have to grow. You have to keep moving forward, and that's always by doing the sucky shit because that's just life.
Straight up.
But it's so important to do that. And especially like if you do really love the person you're with, you have to like grow together and separately, like fix these problems within yourself, or else you'll just keep like dating for 2 years and then breaking up and then dating for 2 years. Because something meaningful has to have pain involved.
Yeah.
There has to be some kind of struggle, like a physique that was built, or, someone's magnum opus was not easy to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that can be relatable on so many different fronts, where it's like, you're not going to become a bodybuilder if you don't go to the gym.
Totally.
You're not going to have a good relationship if you don't work on it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to do the hard things to get the good on the other side. Like, you have to go through that bullshit to like be successful in anything,
to be happy,
to get successful. Yeah. Whatever that looks like to you. And I, like, as we're talking about this, it's like, I'm almost like having I'm just going through my past relationships and like, damn, like so many things that I could have done to potentially save relationships or potentially like not have them end the way that they did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I hate that, like, because I haven't been in a relationship in years. It's been so many years now, since like COVID. You know what I mean? So I've been out of the game, but like back then, I'm 29 now. So like early 20s, that was like majority of my relationships, and I kind of fucked them all up. And it was all on me.
Feel that.
Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, just thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, there's definitely so many things that I could have done differently, but I was like almost playing defensive and like playing victim, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's just like
Me
a
too,
tough
man.
reality to like face. But it's, as we're talking about, I'm like, damn, that's exactly what happened. Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
But-
it just feels, it stings so bad.
Right. But then you find Hannah, and then you find someone that you have that chemistry with, and you can go through 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Now you're going on 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's longer than some adults can stay together, And that's because they don't know how to work through things.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah,
You
beautiful.
always find what's worth it.
Yeah.
And
right.
like that music thing is worth it. Like, she really helped me love myself creatively. I feel like I was always trying to do something that I can't do. Like, even some music I've released is like that. Like and that's probably an unhealthy way to look at it. Well, it's definitely an unhealthy way to look at it. But so much of that is like me aspiring to something, and just within the past couple of years, I'm just like starting to really love what I make, and be able to do something quickly and not stress out about it, because like I like what I make now. And I would have gotten there, I believe, but man, to be able to experience that like with another person is just like, yeah, this person is worth everything to me. Like, I'm really willing to do all the hard stuff to get there with this person.
Dude, I'm so glad to hear that. And it's like having that support system, man. I'm so happy that you have that, man.
Thanks.
Of course, bro.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we talked about that. I was like, I didn't know that we would get into that conversation, but I'm glad we did, dude.
It's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So I want to kind of go back a little bit to early days with music and stuff like that, because something we didn't touch on, church.
Oh yeah.
You guys were big in the church. So you played a lot of music in church. So you were drumming in church?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's and we talked about it on Jack's episode. I don't know, did you watch it? Did you watch Jack's episode?
I didn't see the whole thing.
Okay, because at one point we talked about gospel chops.
Oh,
Gops.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he brought that up, and he's like, "Yeah, we have this term like when people are like in the church, like gospel chops, gops."
Yep.
And I was like, "Bro, I fucking love that," because I grew up in the church as well. So like I was singing and stuff, and I played guitar in church band for like 2 fucking churches,
Really?
or like
That's
2 church services.
awesome.
And I told Jack this. I was like, and I'll never forget. Like the only reason why I only played twice was because I was like a beginner guitarist. And because I played guitar, they're like, "Oh, jump on stage." And they were so supportive, and like even like got me like this little amp and shit like that.
wow.
And I was like, "Oh man, fuck yeah. So excited." And then like I went to practice, and like I was surrounded by musicians, like church musicians.
Yeah.
So like drummer was like top of the line, keyboardist, which was like the lead guy, who was like the main whatever. And then like we had a bassist that was like live bass. So it was like I was the only guitarist, and I was like, I felt so much pressure because they were so good. And
oh man.
Yeah, I always loved that about like being in church, like that live sound and like the drums with the shield on it, you know, and like they just sound so good.
It does, man. There's some churches out there that are just like a great experience to play at. Like whether or not you're religious or what you think about anything, like if it's honestly so good as an early musician to be a part of something like that where you're playing at least once a week.
Yeah.
And you like there's pressure to play good.
Right.
You know, so like sometimes that pressure is bad, but it's there no matter what. And you're always experiencing it because, you know, you mess something up and sometimes they don't notice, or sometimes you mess something up and there's like 100 angry faces staring at you because you've made a mistake. Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
You know,
so at a young age to have that pressure, I think that's something that like really crafts you into like a performer.
It really has, like in a lot of ways, and so much like in the band you mentioned, DS1, and that band, there's so much like energy of like pressure's off. Like I don't know what it is about that project, but when we play, I'm like really stressed about it, and then as soon as I step on the stage, it's like I'm jamming in my living room, and that's like the whole point of the band is to be sloppy and just like whatever.
Right.
And so much of that came from that.
Right.
Because like I would, you know, and I would be like like when I was a teenager, I would not listen to the songs. So I'd show up that morning and then like in the parking lot, like listen to the main beats of the song and then like learn it on the spot while I'm playing it. And like that has just crafted me into like someone who can just hear a song like once or twice and then just know the whole drum part.
Yo, that's
from
sick.
Doing it because I'm like lazy.
Yeah. Hey, well, dude, yo, that's like a gift. It's almost like a photographic memory with music.
But it's from, I swear, I don't think it's innate. I really think it's from like playing church every Sunday. And
yeah,
I mean, we were at like kind of a big church for a while. So like the pressure to mess up is great.
Yeah.
But not greater than my ability to be lazy. So I show up and I'm like, oh my God.
Learning it in the parking lot.
Yep.
Dude, I love that you guys had that experience,
100%.
because it's like as a kid, the performance part of it, it almost like gets those jitters out so that like when you become a band, it's easy for you to go on stage. It's easy for you to perform in front of people because you've done it so many times.
Yeah. It's a lot like it allows you to get closer to like the fantasy of wanting to play in a band. It helps you get through all like the early stupid stuff because you're like, all I want to do is just like pour my soul out in front of people. And like you really can't do that once you can't do it before you get past like the nervous thing. And church really helps with that because like depending on what church you're at, you're in front of snooty people or not. They're not all snooty, but people that are like, if a weird sound comes off the stage, they're like angry.
Yeah.
So like,
how dare you
mess
up in the Lord in the Lord's house.
Totally.
Like, I'm sorry.
So
I'm trying.
So you get to your band like eventually, and then like you're playing your songs, so you know them, and people are like, sometimes people like hearing mistakes because it just takes the pressure off. So like, it's way easier. Yeah. Way easier to play in your own band than to do church.
Yeah, damn, that's a good fucking point, man. It's almost like because people that are at church expect it to sound a certain way.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't, then they're like,
you know what I mean? And they're like, we should go somewhere else. You know,
that drummer's terrible. Let's go to another church.
Yeah,
completely change all this.
It's crazy, but it's like I've heard it. You know,
really?
There's all kinds of complaints. It's like,
that's crazy.
There was one lady who had a decibel reading app on her phone, and if it ever got above like her number was like 94, she would like take a screenshot and then walk back to the booth, and then it was like a whole thing. Happened like almost every week. She'd just make a big deal about it.
She'd be standing next to the mixer, just like, nope, not there yet. Little lower.
Yeah, for real. Like she'd walk in with the app open sometimes, and she was like physically disabled.
Oh no!
So she'd like be walking all the way up to the front with her phone, like sacrificing a good hand for her walker to like hold the phone. And then of course she's walking all the way up to the front in front of the subs and everything.
Yeah. It's like you put it in front of the speaker, it's going to be so much louder.
Yeah. Like,
it's like you're standing right in front of the speaker also. So
yeah, I know. Go to the back. Yeah. What are you doing? I know.
Bro, what?
It's great.
I had no idea there were people like that. Dang. Well, I mean, it makes sense, dude. It makes sense. So church days, then leading into your own band stuff. We talked about with Jack, we talked about RJ and the Groove. We talked about Jack and the Rippers and all these, these old bands. I specifically RJ and the Groove. I wanted to talk about that because I remember the conversation and him talking about like how it was like a weird thing where you guys were both playing like John Mayer covers. So you guys are like, let's just make a big band, and it was terrible. It was like, what was your experience like being in RJ in the Groove, and like what did that teach you about like, because that was like your guys' first experience, right, as like a performing band out here?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Oh man, I mean, I don't even know how that really came to be. To be honest, it's like a weird band setup, and I didn't even really know these people that well. So I'm like, I don't know why we didn't just do our own thing, but we got together. The R part was like, it was technically two bands,
right?
So like they would play their set.
Oh,
and it was two of them. It was like a guitar player and a drummer, and then we would play our set, and there was three of us. And then for like one or two songs at the end, we'd all go on stage. But there was two drummers, so it was kind of weird.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, because there was like only ever one kit set up. Like I remember one time we did the
with little shakers.
Yeah, there was one time we covered a song from School of Rock.
Nice.
And halfway through, like we switched because we thought it was so cool. So I played the first half, and then he played the second half.
You guys like hand off the sticks or whatever.
Yeah, and I think I played like a tambourine.
Oh wow!
But for his half, I think he just like was sitting down. But I thought it was like weird to leave the stage.
Yeah.
So I just stayed up there and played like a tambourine, or it was at like a coffee shop. I think like congos were set up.
Yeah, dude. Yo, it's
weird experience.
It's so funny. Like when you talked about that, I was like, man, that's like so like weird to like have that experience your first go around. Just like, is this what being in a band is like? It's like, this kind of sucks.
So much of like, there's so much weird stuff. Like there's just, music is so weird. Like, there's no normal.
Yeah.
There's just no normal. Like, and everyone feels like they're doing something weird, but it's all normal.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's just weird.
So then after RJ and the Groove, that's when you guys really started Sunday at Noon. Like kind of rolling into that. And I kind of want to talk about like that era of time, because that's when you guys really honed in on your sound.
Yeah,
and
true.
Kind of like where the direction of Viper Club ended up being is like the roots were planted during the Sunday at Noon era. Yeah. So I just want to talk about that and like what that was like, and how that experience changed your music writing ability.
Well, those were like your like formative writing years. I'm probably still in my formative writing years. I don't really know what that is, but like, especially when you start, it's like hard, and you have a big emphasis on like collaboration. And you want everyone to like write their own part. So like we did a lot of the hard stuff of like figuring out what works for us and what doesn't work for us. And like we would just like, as they say, woodshed songs. We'd have like riff ideas and then get a practice space for like 2 hours, and then just work on the song for 2 hours and just be like, experiment with where how the structure works all together. And that was like always my thing I wanted to do, was like, okay, we should do like a intro and then a verse and then a chorus.
So like arranging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jack was just very like, he wanted to pick the chords and the lyrics, you know?
Wow. Another yin and yang type of situation.
And it's, I mean, as we've both become like capable of writing our own stuff and being like pretty content with it, like that's definitely changed. And we have absolutely kind of we don't really have a process anymore. It's just like whatever's cool.
Absolutely. And you guys both are exceptional at both of those things now. So it's like you can't like
Thanks.
yeah, for sure, dude. Where it's just like it's not like back in the day where it's like I'll take this and you take that. It's just like we could both do both. So it's like let's just do it together.
See that's the sibling thing where it's like, okay, well that's his thing.
Yeah.
So I'll do the structure.
He's the chords guy. I'm the structure guy.
I'm the structure guy.
That's funny how that ended up like playing because then you ended up like getting into mixing and stuff like that. So it's kind of ties into that.
That's so true, actually. Yeah.
And it was always like that. And it's like tying it back to like when you were picking parts, like,
yeah, because that's just like, like in like actual, like more analog than analog, like just actual human mixing. That's all that is. You're like,
100%.
Okay, maybe you should like, this part's going to be quiet and then we're going to do it like, you're just like arranging the thing. That's just mixing. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, live mixing.
I've never thought live mixing.
Fuck yeah.
Never I've never thought about it like that, but that's totally, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Sorry, I just definitely derailed that.
No, you didn't. No, you're right. We're right on track, dude. So then Sunday at noon into Viper Club, it was like a seamless transition, but I want to talk about like when that happened because Jack kind of talked about like when he like texted the group and it's like Sunday at noon's out. You know what I mean? Basically, it was just kind of like on a whim. But like there was because of like certain logistic things with like being on a poster on a Thursday, but it says Sunday at noon. It's like, wait, is it on Thursday or Sunday? Like shit like that. And I was like, damn, I didn't think about it like that. But I guess what was like, was that process like easy to transition or like, were you guys excited about it? Or was it kind of like, were you reluctant to transition? Like, were you scared?
We were reluctant for sure. And we really wanted to probably like, I mean, non-verbally, but we all felt a shift happen. Like we recorded the first couple Viper Club songs, we recorded like the last year of Sunday at Noon. So like 2018 or something. And then eventually by, I remember in June of 2019, we had picked the name Viper Club. And I was like getting to work on branding stuff and how it was going to look. So, I mean, by the time we recorded those songs, we were like, we were shifting towards a very like digital type sound in Sunday at Noon. And those songs were very like analog. They were live tracked and everything.
Yep.
And we were like, this just feels different to all of us. And there's like some kind of shift happening and something's about to be different. And you know what I mean? It's like we were mentally like, we all mentally knew something had to change, but we didn't really know yet for probably like a year. And it was hard to just admit to ourselves, like, this is a different band now and we need to change our name.
Yeah, 100%. And almost like shift your sound slightly to fit Viper Club versus like kind of shed the old identity. Yeah,
it's scary.
Yeah, I bet. Especially like because you guys were playing at Sunday at Noon for how many years? Like 2 years?
I mean,
2, 3. Shit, how long was it? Maybe even longer.
I guess it was. Yeah, it was like 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, whoa.
That's a pretty good amount of time to be like longer. Playing shows and I mean, but I guess it probably felt longer for you like in it. But it's
man, that's so weird. Yeah.
Because now you've been Viper Club for 3 years. Or 4 years. Almost, 4 years. 4 years, 5 years almost, dude.
Longer,
5 years this year,
longer
dude?
than the other band.
Holy shit, you've been Viper Club longer than Sunday, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn. Yo, and you touched on this, the branding and the marketing and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to touch on that too because you killed it, by the way.
Thanks, man.
It's so sick. But graphic design, was that something like in your wheelhouse already before? Like, was that a passion of yours? I mean, you're probably into art and stuff like that before. And I kind of want to talk about like your love of arts outside of music. What was that for you?
Well, I think like before I mean, I was already playing drums at this time, but when I was in high school, like the teacher that I connected with the most and who like was the least mad if I showed up late or whatever, she was like always really supportive of me, was my art teacher. And that just like something about that just felt like really accepting to me. And like it felt like I couldn't mess up art. Like I could mess up anything but art. So I just kind of like wanted to immerse myself in it. So I took a graphic design class in high school.
Nice.
For like two years, I think. And just stuck with it. So like I was doing the Sunday at Noon branding stuff.
Oh, right. Okay.
And something like whenever Viper Club happened, it was just like we just want to be so dirty and
Yeah.
like weird and
A little grungy.
and that's that's always been the salt to the pepper for me. Like how it looks, how it feels, how it smells, how it sounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it all
100%.
works together.
Yeah.
And art can be any offense of the senses, you know? So like art, especially like painting and paintings that are like wrong.
Yeah.
they've always just been so striking to me.
So even as a kid in like those early days, you always had that like appreciation for art.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, as a little kid, like my favorite game as a kid and like what I would spend so much time doing as a kid when I was not outside was playing Zelda.
Oh.
At that time, it was like Ocarina
N64?
of Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Majora's Mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember just being like absolutely, just enchanted
Yeah.
with the world and like, the Majora's Mask, how it looks and how the shield looks, how the sword looks, how the game box art looks, how the art looks in the guide, and just being like, wow, I really connect with this. I wore like an elf hat when I was a kid because I wanted to be Link.
That's sick.
And something just like clicked with it.
That's
and
awesome.
I don't know, man. Like the visuals, maybe the visuals were first for me, but it just goes so hand in hand with music. And when I'm working on music, I'm thinking about something visually. So a lot of times, like my favorite painter is I've told you this, but my favorite painter is Goya.
Yeah. He's got some pretty crazy paintings.
I saw his paintings in person last September.
Really?
Yeah.
Where at?
At the Prado Museum in Madrid, in Spain.
Wow. So he's from Spain, right?
Yeah.
So that was like his raw paintings.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
literally life-changing. Like, because I've liked him since high school, since I found out about him.
Yeah.
And like so much of my music has been inspired by JPEGs of his artwork. And seeing it in person was just like, oh my God. I just stood there and like was completely overcome. And like you see that in like movies and stuff, or like the cute like art museum date where they're just kind of like goofing off about it.
Yeah.
And
They're just standing in front of the painting, just like,
but no, it was real.
yeah, I bet, dude.
It was just real. It was like, it was so gripping.
Yeah.
that
It's probably
moment.
like a surreal thing to think about. And then when you're in it, you're like, wow, like that is from the 1800s.
Yeah.
Like, because that's crazy.
Yeah. And
You know what I mean?
that's part of the consumption of the art, I think, is how we mystify things. And like, it's like the analog gear thing. Like it's so mystified that it's like, well, I recorded everything on analog to tape, so it has to be good.
Yeah.
Because the whole like mythos of analog gear.
Yeah.
So like art like that, it's like, this is old. This is an old thing that I'm looking at right now. And it came out of a dark place of a really old person. Like someone who lived a different world than me. And like their dark places are not my dark places. Like this is different, but all the same, ultimately, like all human, like carnal things. So to like see it in person and like, I didn't touch it. I wanted to touch it. But to see it in person was just like,
It's like
oh
you,
my God.
You touch it, you get sniped in the head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there was a guy, like you couldn't even take pictures. The guy was like,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like that.
yeah.
So, I think that maybe even makes it more like you have to like
Totally.
be there now. You
like
know what I mean?
a reverent moment.
Yeah, where it's like once I leave this building, I won't be able to relive this unless I come back.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
Especially his black paintings.
Oh,
like,
that's like the era when he did the Saturn.
oh my God.
Crazy.
They were there.
That's
and like
crazy.
he painted it all on this. It's like might get this wrong. He got this disease and he started going deaf from the disease, and he was like a music lover allegedly. So he bought this like house and then kind of like exiled himself.
Yeah.
And painted it on all of his walls.
Wow.
And that's what those are. They had to like take them off, find a way to remove the artwork from the wall and then put it on a canvas. Or sometimes they just cut the wall out.
Right.
And so like the artworks are huge. Like you see pictures of it and you're like, oh, that's really long and skinny. It's like literally like a wall, like a whole wall. And you can see all the details and all the, you know, if he's painting a creepy face, like you can see the anger and the brush strokes and everything. And it's like totally enchanting. Like there's so much to it to be inspired by. I've just always been a geek for it.
For sure,
you know
man.
I mean?
And I think there's something with him that there was that time when he went into like exile. It was like because he was basically, there was like some, like he was like social conformity. He was trying to like get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like introverted.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to like bring that up because maybe that's like something subconsciously that like you relate to him on that term, because it's just like this dude like kept to himself, did what he loved, and just like went away from everyone.
Totally, man.
And just created great art for the sake of creating great art. And it's like, that's like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas you kind of like a lot of introvert like energy, like which is I think a great thing, because it almost like you focus differently than like someone who cares a lot about social shit. You know what I mean? You don't care about that. You don't care to be super public about things. You don't bring people into your life very like often. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think that's like something that I'm sure a lot of artists can relate to that. But like maybe that's something that you really loved him for that too, like subconsciously. Just like when you learned about that, it's like something that you can maybe relate to him. And then of course the paintings are amazing, but it's just like, it's like deeper.
Totally. That's something like, and it's so much of why we just connect with these things that we see. It's just like, they were like me. Yeah. You know, this thing, something about it, it could be like a mug, but this thing is just like, I feel like it's a part of me and I need to show people, you know, like I need to show like whatever this storm is happening inside of me. I need people to see it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like those, like the artists that you look up to had that feeling as well, probably, you know, and it's just like the people that are looking up to you have that, you know, like that.
I am tall.
Yeah, they definitely be looking up. But it's like, it kind of just like passes it down. Just like, it's almost like people maybe like look at like the way that you carry yourself and like the way that you create art, and they maybe relate to you in that sense. And they kind of, like the same way that you look at different artists that inspire you, like people are looking at you, and even if it's not yet, like you will have people like that. You know what I'm saying? You probably do. You don't even know. Like right now.
I hope so, man. I hope I can be someone's like, it's okay that you're weird. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like we're all weird. It's like I like that, and it's almost like I recently started listening to a lot of comedians podcasts and stuff like that over the last like year and a half. So I'm tapped into the comedian space with LA and New York. And a lot of them are friends. Nice. And it's like, just to kind of like know how they react or interact with each other, they're all kind of quirky and weird. Yeah. And it's like, I think there's something about creative artists that are just always so quirky and weird. Yeah. But like, that's how we relate to each other. That's so, like our quirkiness and weirdness.
Man, I know you've probably had, I mean, we've all had these moments that are, but especially like with other creative people where like, maybe it's like you're exhausted, you know, and you just can't do like the person thing. Yeah. You just can't, like, I'm out. I need to go to bed or something, but I can't go to bed, or like we've all had those moments in silence with other creative people that are like, at least we're together right now. Like we know. Yeah. And sometimes like things are just so nonverbal. Like there's a lot of, I mean, music is just made up shit. So like words are made up shit too. Like exactly. And I feel like creatives understand that sometimes. I'm not going to say better than people that aren't creative, but maybe in a different way. Yeah. You know, everything's just kind of like made up, just like the riff you just made up. So like sometimes we talking bullshit to each other.
Yeah.
And it's just, we get it, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like another language, really.
Yeah.
And it's like, it starts, the more you work with creative people, then it becomes telepathic.
Yeah.
And you can communicate with that language telepathically.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you just look at each other a certain way, and it's just like, you already know what's going on.
That's so true.
It's like, I relate with that with me and Marcus.
Oh, yeah.
Because Marcus and I worked on music for a very long time. So it's like, it's super easy for us to just jump in and make a song in an hour.
Dude.
You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Superpower.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's like,
Yeah.
I've worked with other musicians where it's like, we'll work for 2 hours, can't even come up with like a cool thing that we both like.
Oh, man.
That's the worst. I hate that.
It really is. Yeah, it is.
It's like, damn, why aren't we speaking the same language right now? Can't you understand me?
It's like so hard to tap into that sometimes too, because like, especially as creative people, like, you know, probably like 60% of us are introverted weirdos.
Yeah.
So to be able to like actually break through that wall and then be able to be like brother and sister or brother and brother or whatever, like it's just hard sometimes. But like when it clicks effortlessly, that's when you know you've like made a connection of a lifetime with someone. You know? Like,
and not only that, it's like that's when you know you're creating great shit.
Yeah.
It's like when it happens like that, it's like you get in that flow state is what they call it.
The flow state.
And that's totally. I wish I could live there.
Me too.
Have you ever seen the movie Soul?
Like the Pixar movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's a good movie.
Such a good movie, dude. And like every time I think of flow state now, I picture how they depicted it in that movie. And how it was
when he's playing.
Yeah. And how he just like drifts off in that world. And then he's like floating through this world. And then all of a sudden, like, comes back to real life, and it's like, oh shit, like, there's people around me.
Man,
it's like that's how I feel sometimes. Like when we were playing on stage and stuff. And I'm sure you feel that same way, where it's just like you get into that flow on stage, and it's just like you forget that you're performing in front of people.
Yeah, definitely been there.
Yeah.
I have that a lot when, like, that for me is always my my like you're in a good spot when I'm making music, because like. I always have this like little moment where, well, not always, unfortunately, but if I'm making something that I will later decide I'll put out, something that is probably heard, I've had that moment where it's like, I can just close my eyes and listen to it for a second and just like be in this moment while I'm doing it. And like kind of everything melts away. And it's just like this euphoric state of like, it's like your soul is just coming out of your body.
Absolutely.
Like this crazy moment, like
for sure. And sometimes it's like, I kind of sometimes feel like when it's happening for real, it's like, almost like a visual metaphor that I just thought of is like when you open up a faucet and it's just like, the more you open it up, the more it flows, the faster it flows. And it's kind of like once it's going, it's just like it's fucking going. Yeah. And I think like that's like I love that time. Like once it passes that point of like, oh, we're in it
it's
now.
Flowing.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can't stop it.
Exactly. That's
like,
the thing.
You can't pull yourself away from it.
You can't turn that knob off because it's like you're gonna fucking the pressure of the water is gonna break that shit off. Dude, I 100% like relate to that. And I think that's like as creatives, that's I think what we all strive for is like to be in that place. Cause I'm sure everybody that's creative, whatever that lane is, music, movies, like whatever they do creatively, art, you know, I'm sure people will get into this zone and they get into their own version of what that is, flow state. And
wherever it is, whatever it is, it's there. Man, and it's so beautiful.
It is, for sure.
It's so great.
It's like why we do it, honestly. And I think, well, it's like why I do it sometimes. It's like because of those feelings. It's like, because if I didn't get that, and if I didn't feel like I was connected to it, because that really is like connection. It's like when you're in that flow state, it's because you're like physically and spiritually and like mentally connected to it.
Yeah. Oh my God. And if anybody out there, if you've never done drugs before, it's way better.
Yeah, it is.
It literally does not even drugs don't even compare to this feeling. It is, if you've never had it before.
For real.
It is just so like your absolute identity, like your ego, everything is just working together, and it's just such a surge of like dopamine, and it's just everything's okay. It's just incredible.
I would love to see if if they ever did like a scientific study and like hooked people up to like machines and shit while they were creating.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and just see
what happens.
See like what kind of things are going through their body, what kind of like physical changes, like do they have like X amount of like dopamine running through their veins, or like what kind of like chemicals naturally release in the brain type shit.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that where it's like almost like I wonder what that is, because it there's a physical feeling.
Totally.
So there's got to be something happening inside.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Because
you know when you're there, it's obvious.
Exactly. So it's like your body is almost like putting you there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I wonder what's going on when that happens. Mm-hmm. And it's like, once we figure that out, maybe there's a way to replicate.
Yeah. Maybe there's a way to like easily get
into it. Yeah. It's just like
totally
almost like supplements.
Yeah. What supplements do I take to extend my flow state?
It's like taking pre-workout. Just take a little pre-workout and go into the studio.
C4 flow state.
Flow state by C4.
Yeah. That'd be awesome though.
Dude,
oh my God.
Fuck yeah, dude. God damn, that'd change everything. So we talked about your early bands and stuff like that with Jack, but I want to start getting into the DS1 project because that came out in 2020 or 2019. When was that? Because it was like right before Viper Club, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like kind of around that same time, if I remember.
think the first thing that came out was like 2018.
2018.
I think it was like late 2018.
Damn. Yeah. So you guys were still Sunday at noon when you were DS1.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to talk about like why you decided to do it, and also like was it something where you felt like potentially some pressure in that sense, where it's like, well, like I want them to know that like I still want to be a part of this, but like I want to do my own thing.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely caused problems. Jack was always really supportive of it, but I mean, we also had like issues with it because like he didn't have a project at that time,
right?
And it was just me doing it, and it's like, well, why do you feel like you have to do something else? Like, we're doing this thing and we're traveling and like devoting our lives to it. Why are you doing something else?
Right.
And then especially with like the other people in the band at the time, it was like a little weird. Yeah. But I was a very like spiritual fate person at the time. I mean, I still am, but when I was a teenager, I was like a little insufferable about it. So I really felt like it was like I had to do it, you know? Like, I mean, and I'd written those songs probably 2 years prior.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they were like some of the first songs I ever wrote, because when I was learning to really play guitar when I was 16, like those were the first songs that I wrote on the first thing that came out. And I felt like I had to liberate myself.
Why did you never use those for Sunday at Noon?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
And it's almost like maybe you just felt like it wasn't the right like medium to put those songs out into.
I think that was probably it. There's probably some ego in there too. But it just felt like being a drummer and like whenever we're writing songs as a band together, being the drummer sucks a little bit
because you play rhythm.
Yeah. And you only play rhythm.
Right.
So like, I mean, you can give suggestions to people, but like I had ideas for melodies and stuff, and for chords and for all kinds of stuff. And like, I didn't feel stifled, but I didn't feel like I could easily communicate it because it's loud in there. And like, I'm so far away behind the drum kit, and I can only reproduce it with my mouth, what I think should be there. So it's like, to be able to just like go home right after that practice and then write the thing I was hearing in my head just in a different song and then like sing over it was just like incredibly liberating. And then to release the music was just like, oh my God, I'm a free person. Like,
damn.
you know, so I think that's probably why I was like, no, this has to be for this project.
Yeah.
Subconsciously maybe, but
No, that 100% makes sense, where it's almost like you felt like because you were the drummer, you don't want to step on toes.
yeah.
So let me just make my own project where I'm the lead guy.
Mhm.
And then I don't step on anyone's toes.
it's just
it's
my own.
This is my own stuff.
Yeah.
And like, if you guys want to help me play it, cool. Let's
Totally.
make another band.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, and I'll
That's
be
really
the
what
front
happened.
man. And
Yeah.
exactly. And I kind of want to like touch on that, where it's like, because like, doesn't Jack play in it with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
like he becomes your support. And I
Yeah,
think that's really
true.
cool. And like almost having like a separate band, but like you have like two lanes,
Mhm.
you know, where it's like, is this a DS1 song or is this a Viper Club song? And it's
Yeah.
like kind of like that, where you can still put different eggs in that basket now. And it's like, you don't have to feel stifled by like not being the guitar player in Viper Club.
Yeah.
So it's like, you still have a lane. Dude, I love it, dude.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. It's really fun to like do different stuff together.
Mhm.
Like, cause when it's your main band, it's just so, it can get so serious all the time.
Oh yeah.
And then to be able to like play a DS1 show, and then Jack's like, this is great. I'm just going to play guitar and just like play the shit out of this thing.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like, this is great. I can sing. I can like get right up in people's faces, and
Yeah.
I can play guitar.
Right.
Like it is just so, I don't know, it really bonds us too,
Yeah.
because we see different sides of each other.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I mean, whenever he plays guitar in Viper Club, he'll be kind of just playing rhythm stuff, and he'll take some solos, but like having that support from him in a different way musically, where it's like, I feel like he's behind me where I'm behind him as a drummer in the other band. Like, I just respect him differently for that.
Yeah.
I just like see different sides of him. And he's told me before, he's like, I didn't know you were so good with crowds after, you know,
Because you're always behind the kit.
yeah. He's like, but you're just so like comfortable,
Yeah.
and it's kind of cool. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
You know, so we see different sides of each other. It's cool.
Absolutely, man. And it's like, it's probably like something that, because you spent so much time being behind the scenes, behind the drum kit, you were able to see all these things happening. So it's like you were able to kind of like
That's true,
see
man.
the energy of the guitar player, see the energy of the bass player, see the energy of Jack.
Yeah.
So you were kind of like able to form your own version of that
Mhm.
frontman energy when you made DS1. And I think that's like, that was probably
Yeah.
like almost like a like breaking of the chains, where it's just like, ah, like let me out there, like
Yeah, dude.
please.
And yeah, dude. And like also, you might also feel this way. I feel like a lot of creative people feel this way, but like that outsider syndrome, where you just feel like you're always just like looking in at something. You don't feel like you're a part of it.
Yeah.
Like that, I've always had that. And then being a drummer is like that too.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then I see like bands and what's happening on stage at our own band, and I'm just like, I wouldn't have done that at that time.
Yeah.
And then it just creates this whole like, just list of things that you want to do in a different band,
Exactly.
because you're like, I didn't like that.
Yeah, and you can like tailor it
Yeah.
to like what you would do. And
Yeah.
it's like, and take all these things, examples from other people. And that's
Yeah.
like, this is what we do in life. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like, this is just relating it to music specifically. It's like, realistically, we go through life and like we see people's downfalls and uphills and
Yeah.
downhills and all this shit that they have. It almost allows us to like take their experiences and learn from it, which is crazy.
Yeah, if you observe, you can at least avoid that one.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like in a live setting, dude. I
Yeah.
think that's like a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
because to be a front man, you have to have a certain energy, and you have to like
so true.
bring a certain type of like, I guess energy is the best word. You have to bring a certain
Yeah.
type of energy to the stage. Otherwise, it's not a captivating show.
Oh, not at all.
So-
like you have to, oh my, and there's so many people that are just like so incredibly intelligent and just like really interesting people and like beautiful souls. And then they get on stage and they just freeze up. And you like, even if you're introverted, you have to like not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like you can still be introverted and not give a fuck. You have to,
Yes.
you have to find a way to just like put it out.
Yeah.
Just like whatever, if you're front manning, if you're a drummer, you can hide behind your toms and
Yes.
set them up high. But as a front man, like people want to know things about you. Like they want to know things about you and they don't want you to tell them.
Right.
And you have to you have to show people who you are through your art and perform it like that. And some people, some people just kind of lock up. Maybe it's just where they're at in their process.
Yeah.
But I think to do it naturally, it definitely requires a kind of person. Jack is really good at it.
For sure.
Just like he's just out, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, Jack's the dude that's fucking Led Zeppelin screaming and like jumping up on the goddamn like rafters and shit, like hanging upside down singing.
And
like,
they see him and they're like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I get this person.
Yeah. Dude, there's like an iconic photo of, I think it was a Viper Club show where he did like the split jump, like super high.
Yeah.
I'm like, just like that type of shit. Like that is like frontman energy. Like you're at that show and you're like, what the fuck? That
this guy's got something to prove.
Yeah. This guy got something to prove.
Totally, man.
Dude.
Totally.
Talking about music and stuff like that, frontman energy, this kind of leads into this. And this is like not necessarily something that just because of the frontman thing, but you've always, since I've known you, had like crazy style. Like your style has always been like top of the game,
Thanks, dude.
And it's always been like in your own way. And I think that's
awesome.
For sure,
Thanks.
dude. For sure, dude. 100%. It's almost like I guess like indie. It's kind of like you kind of have like an indie vibe, but it's like always super fashionable. And I just want to talk about like where did that like come from, and when did you kind of start like choosing like outfits that were a little bit more experimental and like being comfortable in those clothes?
Oh man, I don't know.
Really?
I'm sorry.
No,
I don't know.
Like when were you doing that as like a kid?
Well, I mean, I wasn't.
Or were you just like wearing like regular, like, I don't know, like jeans and a t-shirt and some some skate shoes or something like, cause I feel like
I'd wear goofy stuff as a little kid. Like I
it was always
wearing
kind of
costumes, like
right?
Halloween costumes a lot, or
Dude.
like the elf hat.
Dude, yeah. Oh,
so maybe
shit.
that's it. Yeah.
Wow. So it was always a thing.
Yeah.
And
but
do you think it stemmed from like wanting to almost stand out, or
yeah. I think, and that's me, is like, it's because I'm introverted, and for so much of my life I haven't known how to like I would see extroverted people get all this praise and attention, and like if Jack was playing guitar when we were little kids, and he would get so much praise and attention for it, like, and I couldn't just go set up a drum kit and play in front of my family.
Yeah. So
like I had to find a way to get people's attention in other ways, because like my mouth wasn't working. Like something was just, I mean, I feel like I can talk now, but I just felt kind of like I need people to just be like, look at me and just tell something about me, and I've always felt that way.
Yeah.
I guess now that I'm realizing.
Yeah.
Now that you're helping me realize this.
This is actually just a therapy session. I don't know.
It really is.
But like it's something that I always like. I mean, you and Jack, but you specifically, I feel like have always, because even between you and Jack, your style has always been different than Jack's.
Yeah.
And it's been like they've always like been very like polarizing in the best ways, where it's just like you come in a room and it's like people know you're there.
Thanks,
shit.
man.
For sure, dude.
Dang.
100%, dude. No, I just needed to bring that up because I'm like, damn, dude. Like, cause I like style. I fuck with style. I like whatever. And but it's like to be comfortable on the level that you are, and almost like be like you don't take anybody else's shit. Like you don't like bite anybody else's style, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Thanks,
you know
man.
what I mean? And I think it's easy to do that nowadays, to just kind of like see someone how they dress and then like emulate it.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like
with Pinterest and everything.
Yeah, and it's like you're the one people are emulating.
Yeah.
Like you're on a Pinterest board somewhere.
Oh man, I hope so. No, I mean, to be comfortable in it is just like, I mean, I would dress pretty nutso, like especially when our band started, like,
yeah.
And I was not comfortable doing it, but I wanted to be comfortable doing it. Or I'm like, when I was a teenager, I would dress crazy, but it came from a place of arrogance, like teenage arrogance, and then kind of lost a little bit of the arrogance, and then was just still doing it. I didn't know why. I didn't feel very comfortable in it. But it is hard to like dress crazy and wear like crazy pieces of clothing. and feel comfortable. And it's like from a good place. It's just from like a humble, like, I just like this piece of clothing and it just puts me in a good spot, you know, not like you're like narcissism.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
No, it's
Clothes
like,
are weird like that because it
for
is all
sure.
just, I mean, to be annoying about it, I guess it is all narcissism. It's just like you feel this need for like to have people understand you all the time.
Mhm.
And it's not even necessary, but it's just like this human want for people to notice them.
Mhm.
And, you know, I guess that can be bad sometimes, but
Yeah, and I think it's all about like how you kind of take that energy and almost like if that's like what you fed off of, you know, if that's like your goal, like main goal in life is to like have people see me, you know, like that's negative, you know,
yeah,
where
that
it's
is true.
where it's just like you're doing it from a place of like, I just love to do this and it makes me happy. So if you like it, by all means, thank you. But if you don't, I don't care because I'm going to wear it anyways.
It's so true.
It's like, because that's really what it is. It's like, you walk into a room, you play a show and whatever you want. And like, if someone doesn't like it, you're not going to change the way that you dress, you know?
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah. So
I think it's been working out. It works out
It
for
does,
me
dude.
in my life.
for sure, dude.
So-
No, yeah. And that's why I wanted to bring it up because it's like, it's part of you is your style. And I think that's what like,
Thanks, man.
for
I'm
sure.
glad. I don't know. It makes me, I'm flattered that you noticed that.
Of course, man. I'm not the only one that notices. I'm sure, dude. I'm sure I am speaking to the choir for some people. They're like, yeah, he does have great style. They're going to watch us back. So to wrap up here, I kind of want to touch on some things coming up here. DS1 stuff, Viper Club stuff, anything you got going on. I know DS1 is performing at Mesa Music Festival on the 19th of April. Is that right?
That is right.
Yes. So everybody, if you're in Mesa, go check out the Mesa Music Festival. Shout out
Come
Amy
see
and
us.
Indian.
Yeah.
Shout out Amy and Indian.
Shout out Amy and Indian. Thank you.
So DS1 is going to be playing, and so that'll be with Jackson be playing on that show as well with you.
Jack will be playing guitar. I will be playing guitar and singing.
Fuck yeah. And then Viper Club stuff, what you guys got going on?
Viper Club is playing the day after. And get this, actually, I'm going to play guitar for that show.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Just trying it out.
Hell yeah. So who's jumping on drums? The same person that did DS1?
No, actually, we got this dude that we've known for a while, Christian Champion. He's fantastic.
Hell yeah.
He is just like an absolute monster. Like,
Hell
dude just beats the shit out of drums, and it's awesome. So, yeah, it's gonna be honestly, come see us. It's gonna be weird and crazy. So, like, might never happen again. I don't know what we're doing. We're just doing
exciting.
stuff. Yeah.
Dude, I'm definitely gonna be rolling up. So April 19th, you're playing at the Nile Theater.
Yeah.
And then April 20th, where are you guys playing? Are you guys doing main stage?
It's the one on the street,
Okay.
if that's the main stage.
I think that's the main stage.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And
Yeah.
nice. Do you know your time slots yet for both those days? Just so we can plug them.
I'm sorry, Amy. I don't.
Oh shit. Well, I'll put them right here. I'll put the posters up right here. Check them out. Go to the show.
Awesome.
Dude, do you have any music releasing, or are you guys like writing anything that you're excited about, or what's going on that front?
We have a new song. Viper Club has a new song called Ballistic coming out soon. Shot a video for it. By the time this is out, there will probably be a date posted, and music video teaser stuff will probably be out.
Hell yeah.
So-
Was that what you shot with a Yellow Box the other day?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I saw you post that. Heck yeah. Shout out Corey.
Shout out Corey.
Dude. Yo, I got to get him on the pod.
Dude, honestly, that would be a good one.
Yeah. Dude, he shot a teammate Marcus video back in the day. So it's like we have a connection. Yeah, I could definitely.
He's smart, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
He's definitely like smart, creative type. Has interesting things to say, but he'll like keep it to himself.
yeah.
You know?
Introvert guy.
Yeah.
One of us.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. He does, I mean, he seems so like sociable.
Yeah.
But that's always been my take of him, is that he's like introverted. So maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he'd be fun to watch for sure.
Hell yeah, man.
Him on.
So you got the video coming out for that. What is that song called?
Ballistic.
Ballistic. Look out for it. So, and then Viper Club online is at Viper Club Band, right?
Yeah.
And then at DS1 FM.
Yep.
Right?
That's it.
Nice. Heck yeah, dude. Let's go. Yes.
And DS1 music will release this year. I'm putting out DS1 music. I don't know when, but just like watch for it.
Is it ready?
Well, pretty much. I want to shoot music videos and just do a thing. It's like that thing again where you're just like trying to just put stuff out and not hate it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also like what you were talking about earlier too, where it's like when you put it out, you want it to taste, smell, feel, sound. You know, like you want the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole
You don't want to
experience.
you don't want to just throw it out there to throw it out there. It's like when I give it to you, it's gonna be fucking handed like on a silver platter, and it's gonna be presented.
I hope it's exactly what I want to show you.
Dope, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time here today. I feel like this was awesome.
Hey,
we breezed through that.
This was great, and I appreciate you having me on here.
Of course, man.
It's awesome. He's doing an awesome thing.
Thank you, man.
And he's a great person. I've known him for a while. He's a really cute dog, and we've been through some shit together.
Yes.
Traveled some country together.
Dude,
you know?
for sure. Yeah, we went on tour together. If you watched Jackson Lee's episode, we kind of briefly touched on the tour. Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, there's something that I talking about that. Oh, my God. So there was this one guy that, don't fucking lie to me.
I knew we were going to talk about it. He's so, oh my God.
So Jack told me this story. That the first night or something like the second night or whatever, whenever it was, you and Carl were drinking some beers.
Did you not know this side of it?
I didn't know this. I didn't. Okay. So he told me this and I want to hear it from your perspective because well, just tell the story.
So Carl and I, our old bass player, we toured in an RV and there was a ladder on the back and Carl and I climbed up and we were drinking some Bud Lights.
Because you couldn't get into the bars.
Couldn't get into the bars. Right. Yeah. This was not for any reason or anything.
Right. Oh, just, I guess, whatever.
And so we're just living our crazy
statute of limitations. They can't.
We're
they can't prove shit.
Can't prove a fucking thing.
But anyways, so you guys are on the RV.
We're on the RV. We're like living a teen movie.
Yeah.
Sitting up there drinking Bud Light.
On tour.
Yeah.
Ooh. Living it up. Yeah.
And we're like, there's a security guard. We're in a parking lot. There's a security guard, like, he's like doing the rounds because there's a bunch of stages set up for this outdoor music fest in New Jersey. We were playing. So we're like in the parking lot behind it and everything is still set up at night. So they had a security guard like walking through and the guy sees us and he starts walking over and I couldn't tell if he was a cop or not.
Right.
He looked like a cop because it's all the same color clothing and everything.
Especially at night. Yeah.
And he's like got a gear vest on and I'm just like, shit. So he starts walking over and as a teenager, like I probably didn't look, as a person who probably should not have been drinking beer, I didn't look like it, but as a person like that, you feel like everyone knows. So he starts walking over and I'm like getting paranoid.
Yeah.
And Carl and I are like, okay, we should probably get off the roof. So we like get off the roof. And by that time he's like 10 feet away. And he just, yeah. And he's just bored.
Yeah.
Like, and he's just talking and we're like, oh, okay. But he's like, what are you guys drinking? And we're like, oh, just Bud Light, man. He's like, yeah, I could get one of those. And I'm like, yeah, totally. So I like go inside the RV and we had a whole thing of Bud Light in the freezer that Sean had bought.
Yeah.
And I just like hand him one and he just cracks his fucker open all the way up and just drinking the whole thing and just crushes it.
No.
And then, yeah, it was like insane. And then, because you just, especially when you're young, you don't expect old people to do shit like that.
For sure.
So I'm just like speechless watching this. And he's like, ugh, you got another one? So I go in and get him another one. And then that's his chill beer. He had to like get the buzz going with the first. And now it's his chill beer. And he's just telling us all sorts of stories about mafia stuff. And, you know, when I was running with my boys and, you know, back in the day, me and my boys with bats. So like just all this stuff. It's probably bullshit, all of it. But I don't know.
Dude.
But it was like, I remember like, I mean, we talked for like an hour and Carl and I didn't say much.
Yeah.
It was like,
it was like that.
And I remember after Carl and I, we took you and Marcus and Sean were like out. So Carl and I were just like, fuck it. We're just going to sleep in the bed if they're going to sleep somewhere else or wherever they're going to sleep.
Yeah.
And I remember Carl and I just like both laying on our backs, staring at the ceiling, just like, hey, are you awake? Yeah. Like, what the fuck just happened? Like we just couldn't stop thinking about the shit he was saying because he was so crazy.
Dude, and you had no idea who this guy was.
No,
It's like, was it then after that is when he like came to us and like was talking to us?
it was like the next day.
The next day, because I remember like
RV was like parked in the same spot. I think he just remembered and just like he was like, I'm just gonna punish this guy.
They got Bud Lights.
Yeah.
Yo. Because like my memories were like just like the memories of like him with me and like, Harry, don't fucking lie to me, Harry.
He was just bullying you.
Yeah, I was like, well, dude, what the fuck? Like I was telling Jack,
cool,
like,
man.
we were talking about this one time because we were gonna go to some VIP party or whatever that Indian invited us to, and and dude's like, you better be going to that fucking party, Harry. You better be going to that fucking party. And it's just like, dude, I don't know if I should. Like, this is making me feel weird, bro. Like,
you gonna punish me the whole time if I go?
Yeah, you just gonna be
you
telling me not to fucking lie to you the whole time?
Yeah, he was like, that was so serious too.
Yeah,
he was saying that.
It was weird, and it stemmed from that. Like, basically, like me saying, like, yeah, we're going. Like, we're definitely planning on going. It's like, you better not be fucking lying to me. Just like. What? Why would I say I'm going if I'm not?
You got so many years on me, and you could tell I'm just like trying to get through this conversation, and you're being such a dick.
Exactly. And then to pull out his phone and like say he's gonna call Netflix and 50 Cent, and we're just
that was absolutely the best. I don't know if Jack said it, but he's like pulling up this contact called Netflix on Facebook Messenger and like video calling them.
Yeah. And then no one answers.
Oh my God.
Dude, and that was the worst shit ever. And then I remember earlier, like that, in that same conversation, is when he's just like, yeah, so I was talking to my boy Curtis. You might know him as 50 Cent, but I just call him Curtis. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm actually going to go fly out to New York and da-da-da-da, meet up with him. And it was like, he was saying he was going to like meet up with him like that night. And then we saw him later that night. He's like, what happened? Thought you were going to go hang with Curtis.
Oh my God.
Why are you still here?
Oh my God. He was just like a character. Man.
Dude, yeah. I told Jack, I was like, I only remember his energy. I don't even remember what he looked like or his name.
I know.
That's
so
crazy.
True, man. I've been thinking about that too. Like,
like I didn't even remember. Like I
remember his voice, his all of his like old like maybe boomer era like masculine shit, but totally. Just I don't remember his face.
Yeah,
kind of like Joey Diaz a little bit.
Yeah, I remember him being thicker.
Yeah,
I remember that. And it's just like, if I saw him in like a lineup, I might be able to point him out.
Yeah, in a lineup, I could probably point him out for sure. It's like, my brain was like headcanoned him to just like Joey Diaz because he talked just like him and he kind of looked like him. Like he slicked back his hair, I remember. But I don't. His whole face is just like blacked out,
bro.
To me, just don't remember what he looked like.
I'm just gonna constantly picture Joey Diaz every time I think
forever.
of him, bro.
I know.
Yo, the same energy though, dude. So yeah, I am so glad I brought that up. I almost forgot about that, dude. Thank you for bringing that up, dude.
No problem.
Yo, because I was like, I need to hear this story from the source because that's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
it's
great
like
times.
That dude didn't even know you. Just like some kids, just like. Can I get one of those?
Yeah, he was just like, what are these kids up to?
It's like, let me go hang. Let me go hang with these kids.
Like it's 94.
Fucking word vomit on them for an hour.
For real.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man, my face hurts from laughing. Oh, man, that's amazing. Yeah, so again, thank you so much for doing this, dude. So much fucking fun.
Anytime, man.
And my fellow Martians, please go follow Nate online at Hail Nathan. NATAN.
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids. Yeah. Go follow DS1 FM. Go follow Viper Club Band. All that stuff. Look out for their shows coming up in April here. Look out for new music and all that stuff. But thank you again for listening and watching wherever you are in the world. Love you so much. See you next time on Mars. Peace. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon, and also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We will see you next time on Mars.